Recording in progress.
Good evening. Time being 7 o'clock, I call the March 19th, 2025 meeting of the Franklin Town Council to order. Please pause for a moment of silence. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All citizens are welcome to attend public meetings in person, to view the live meeting remotely. Citizens are encouraged to watch the live stream on the Franklin Town Hall TV YouTube channel or the live broadcast on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 29. Meetings are also archived by Franklin TV on the Franklin Town Hall TV YouTube channel and shown on repeat on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 29 for those who miss the live meeting. To listen to the meeting remotely, citizens may call in using this number, 929-205-6099. This will not permit participation in the meeting. To participate in the meeting remotely, citizens are able to join a Zoom webinar using Zoom webinar ID number 853-4467-7191, and then you need to hit the pound sign. Once again, the Zoom ID is 853-4467-7191 pound. Any participants who wish to speak during the webinar must enter their full name and email address when joining the webinar. All participants will be automatically muted upon joining the webinar. In order to speak, the participants who have entered full name and email address will need to select the raised hand function to request to be unmuted. All speakers will be required to state their full name and street address before commenting. Okay, Councilor DeLorco will not be in attendance tonight. Unfortunately, his mother-in-law passed away late this afternoon, so he's unable to attend this evening. And obviously, our thoughts and prayers go out to Bobby and Gigi and the family. So, upcoming events. We have a few. Town Council will hold office hours tomorrow morning, March 20th, at 8:30 a.m. at the Franklin Senior Center. Coffee will be served, but breakfast will not be served tomorrow morning, as they are preparing, or the firehouse will be preparing their lunch for the seniors. Residents of Franklin and beyond are invited to celebrate spring on Saturday, April 26, 2025. Come and explore the Franklin Downtown Partnership's Ladybug Trail Spring Walk and find the ladybug sculptures tucked among buildings and other points of interest along the trail. The rain date is Sunday, April 27th. The Franklin Department of Arts, Culture, and Creative Economy is excited to announce a request for a proposal, better known as an RFP, for artists to create artwork for Franklin's first public art micro gallery. This initiative aims to transform small curated spaces into dynamic showcases of creativity. The RFP is currently open with a deadline of May 1st. For more information, head to the RFP Micro Galleries page on the town website. Further announcements from the chair, I think School Committee Chair Dave Callahan. Not even you're that.
No, I'm not. All right, thank you very much. Dave Callahan, 30 Plain Street, Chair of the Franklin School Committee. And Chairman Mercer and I, a while ago, kind of started talking about using this opportunity just to give updates about what's happening at the school committee meetings and the Franklin Public Schools. And so at our last meeting, March 11th, we had Colin, our Director of Operations, with a bunch of kind of knockout updates in terms of the reorganization process. One of them was all about the capital improvement projects that we're looking at moving forward. And there's a terrific resource right on our website if you wanted to kind of take a look at it. Breaks down, if you're concerned about, what is going to happen in terms of what capital improvements need to happen for the reorganization, when is it going to happen, and how much is it going to cost. The great resource document right on our website breaks it down. My colleague, committee member Aaron Gallagher, even kind of pointed out that in it, even kind of goes down to such granular detail that talk about, 17 brackets need to come off the walls at the schools. So they really took a site walk through. I don't know, Kevin Hart and Mike D'Angelo from facilities really been kind of collaborating a ton with the schools to make sure that this is a fluid process as possible. The other one is we also had a big update all about transportation because, again, as we kind of go through this transformative reorganization, now going from 10 schools down to 7 and utilizing the complex school sites that we have. And so what's going to be happening, because of the bus routes now just have fewer drop-off, pick-off points, they're really able to kind of maximize the utility and efficiency of all of the bus routes. And what they presented out to us was as they kind of forecast based on the population, the numbers that we have right now, as we move forward into next year, they think they might be able to kind of reduce 2 whole buses off of the fleet that we're using because they're using the bus routes are that much more efficient and effective with the new reorganization that we have planned. And I know in the past I had mentioned that next year the bus rates are expected to kind of go up by 12%, and that's something that we just kind of have to take on the chin. So the fact that they're able to take off 2 whole buses from the fleet is a considerable amount of savings. And that's where we just every single meeting where their superintendent's office is kind of reporting out even more savings that's being discovered through this reorganization process, which is terrific. And another item we had was took out of our policy subcommittee and kind of brought to the full school committee, but talking about the fees that students and families are being charged. I know Councilor Cormier-Ledger had kind of mentioned about, talked about this in prior meetings, because just a quick recap, after the failed override last year, the schools really had to increase the fees rather substantially. So this year right now, it's $500 to put your kid on your bus. Paying $1,000 for football, $600 now for baseball in the springtime. The families are they're feeling it. It's a very high cost, and it's a high cost that's rather unique to Franklin. While a lot of other districts have seen their fees increase, in most cases, the districts that are more kind of comparable to us, like we're charging over double the rate. What a lot of other districts are doing. And that's just strictly out of necessity, because it's either, try to make athletics 100% fully self-funding and have these incredibly high rates, or have to lay off even more teachers and cut more programming. That was the decision that we made last year. What we're looking at now, the FY26 budget that Superintendent Jagir and his team prepared and the school committee voted on, aims to reduce those fees just to kind of more market value. So it's still going to be higher than what it was in the past number of years. It's still, many of them are looking to be higher than what some of those other more comparable districts are, but just maybe by $100 as opposed to over double the cost. However, That's really just kind of contingent upon the budget being fully funded. And obviously, we have the structural deficit ahead of us. I know that's a big talking point tonight. That I'll illuminate more about what the school committee, we had another meeting just about an hour ago, but I'll reserve those comments until we're talking about that at the agenda. All right, thank you all.
Dave. Okay, next item on the agenda is citizens' comments. Citizens are welcome to express their views for up to 3 minutes on a matter that is not on the agenda. In compliance with General Laws, Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20, the open meeting law, the council cannot engage in a dialogue or comment on a matter raised during citizens' comments. The town council may ask the town administrator to review the matter. Nothing herein shall prevent the town administrator from correcting a misstatement of fact during citizens' comments. Is there anyone in council chambers that would like to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda? Please.
You were so shocked last time I had to make it up. Jane Calloway Tripp, 607 Maple Street. Okay, so I'm here with actually a suggestion. When we closed Davis Thayer School, we formed a Davis Thayer Reuse Committee. Since the Parmenter School is due to close at the end of the summer and it has not been officially stated that it will be a police station, I feel that we should form yet another committee, because we already have 5 million, so one more is not gonna break the bank, and have a Parmenter Reuse Committee to discuss possible ways to use the property and the school, which would best be for the town, honoring the manner the land was donated in and the vote the town took back then to actually build a school. And since I've been hearing over and over again that roughly around 2030, we're probably going to need another school system, maybe there's something that we can do to preserve it, and then it's a manner of doing renovations versus building another school. As I am suggesting this, I'm also asking, even though I know it would be complied of like all council members being on it, that you can have 1 or 2 resident seats on that committee. And I'm asking to be appointed to that committee if you so choose to put that committee together. I brought forward the deed. I've been arguing about Parmenter, we all know, because they're all tired of hearing about it. And I would like to be on that committee to see if we can try to keep everything in honor of how we were given this property and use the best use for that school. That is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Please, name and address, please.
Evening, councilors. Joel DeRico here, 72 Deerview Way. I wanted to speak to you tonight. I realize the importance of tonight's vote is about the budget shortfall. And I wanted to speak to you about revenue that we need immensely here. During the 90s, we had so much new growth that we didn't have budget shortfalls. And I wanted to speak to you about what I learned recently, starting with Station 117 down on Dean Avenue. The latest revenue that comes in on that premises is $875,000 a year, and that's 250 apartments, which translates into $3,500 a year in tax revenue for those apartments. Down on the old Practice Fairway, down at the Franklin Country Club, are 57 condos that bring in approximately $10,000 a unit in tax revenue to the town. So if we had 172 condo units across the street, we'd be bringing in close to 1.7 or 1.8 as opposed to what we bring in down on Dean Avenue. Now, next week, the Zoning Board of Appeals is going to take up the friendly 40B that 5 of you voted for, of which 25% of those units, 64 units of the 264, will be affordable. And because they're affordable, Kevin Doyle is not able to assess them at the same rate as Dean Avenue. So when you factor in that, and when you factor in approximately 50 school children that are going to be in there at about $11,000 that we pay. I got information from the school superintendent that it's not 17. Our end of it is 11. You factor in what it costs for 50, you end up making $300,000 across the street in the end, as opposed to having a condominium development. So I'm asking the 5 of you that voted for that friendly 40B, why we ever have a friendly 40B, I don't know, because we're at 11%. The state says we got to have at least 10, we're at 11. The quality of life is going to be impacted with more 4-story buildings down on East Central Street. Across the street over here at the TAJ, it's 35% vacant. We have 300 going in down on Grove Street. How many more do we need? When we should look at what Millis did with the old Glen Ellen Country Club, all 55 and older, $1 million condos, and Millis knows enough to make revenue. We need to make that kind of revenue so that override amounts are a lot less. So I'm asking the 5 of you to get in touch with the Zoning Board of Appeals members and redeem yourselves by indicating that you'd rather have condos there than apartments. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Joe.
Is there anyone else in council chambers that would like to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda? Sorry, just name and address, please.
Yes, good evening. Sarah Amaral, Director at the Franklin Senior Center, and I wrote down some remarks so I stay in my time. As many of you know, the Senior Center was closed for the past 2 weeks for essential repairs. Today we celebrated our reopening, and the excitement from both members and staff was truly indescribable. The energy in the building was a testament of how much this community means to us all. If you've ever wondered why our parking lot is always full, the answer is simple: just another day at the center. During the closure, we remained committed to serving our community by operating in multiple off-site locations. Thanks to the dedication of our team, we ensured that vital programs, including respite care through our supportive day program, food services, fitness classes, support groups, and more, continued without interruption. In total, we offered 49 programs across 8 different locations, keeping our community connected and supported. This was only possible because of so many key players, and we have countless people to thank. To town administration, the finance committee, the capital budget subcommittee, and town council, thank you for approving the necessary funding to make these critical repairs happen. To our incredible facilities department, particularly Kevin Harn, Mike D'Angelo, Stephen O'Neill, and Richard Gaskin. Your tireless efforts and open communication were the backbone of this project's success. To Franklin Public Schools Food Services, thank you for ensuring our supportive day program and members never missed a meal. To our community partners who truly stepped up. We know that things aren't always easy, we may not always agree, but when help is needed, Franklin shows up. A heartfelt thank you to Franklin VFW, Franklin School of Performing Arts, Tri-County High School, Franklin TV Studio, Pete's Nerd Emporium, Dean College, and the Franklin Municipal Building for being such generous and accommodating hosts. And a special shout out to Tri-County High School. Not only did they create a custom menu for our seniors to match our pricing, and the food was fantastic, but they went above and beyond by offering free car washes and detailing, which when there was an open spot, staff said it was meticulous. And their various shops provide unique programs from DIY dessert making to fraud prevention, and even PVC pipe bowling from their auto shop. And to our phenomenal senior center staff. While running an already busy center, you seamlessly executed this master plan with grace and dedication. There are truly no words to capture what you pulled off, on top of keeping me sane through it all. And to our selfless volunteers, your support in managing our sites and being familiar faces around town made all the difference. And finally, to our amazing members, thank you for your flexibility, patience, and unwavering support. Your enthusiasm reminds us of why we do what we do. All that to say, it's good to be home.
Thank you, Sarah.
She must have rehearsed that. It was like
Perfect.
Thank you, Sarah.
2 seconds left.
2 seconds.
Perfect timing. Is there anyone else in council chambers that would like to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda? Is there anyone out there in Zoom land that would like to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda? I don't see anybody, do you? Okay, moving on. Approval of minutes. I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes from February 26, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion, additions, deletions. Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'd now entertain a motion to approve the minutes from March 5th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion, additions, deletions. Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on. Next item on the agenda is proclamations and recognitions. We have none this evening. Appointments, we have none this evening. Public hearings, none this evening. Boy, this is good. License transactions, none this evening. Presentation and discussion, we have none this evening. It looks like we get right to it.
Right to business.
So the next item on the agenda is legislation for action. And the first piece of legislation is Resolution 25-15, Proposition 2.5, override ballot question. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 25-15, Proposition 2.5, override ballot question. Be resolved by the Franklin Town Council that the Town Council of the Town of Franklin places the following question on a ballot to be decided by the voters of Franklin. Shall the Town of Franklin be allowed to assess an additional $3,862,672 in real estate and personal property taxes for the purpose of the municipal and school operating budgets, for which monies from this assessment will be used for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025. This resolution should become effective according to the provisions of the Town of Franklin Home Rule Charter.
Move resolution 25-15.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. I'm going to take the lead on this mainly because I chaired the Joint Budget Subcommittee, which started this process of, this was basically a brand new process that we started this year, where we started back on September 11th, working jointly with members of the Joint Budget Subcommittee made up of the Budget Subcommittee of the Council, Budget Subcommittee of the School Committee, and a subcommittee of the Finance Committee. You have three financial bodies of the community that make the financial decisions. So this Joint Budget Subcommittee started back on September 11th. We've been meeting for 7 months, going through the entire budget process from start to finish. And I'd be remiss if I didn't start by saying I wanted to thank all of the members of the Joint Budget Subcommittee for their time and effort over the last 7 months. I know it's been a lengthy process, but I do believe it's been a good process. I believe it's been an informative process, and I believe we reached out to more residents than we ever have in the past with the budget process. But I'd first like to just say, give a shout out to the school committee and the school department, because in order to do this, they had to move their budget process up a month and a half from what they had done every other year. So I want to thank them for the Herculean effort I'm sure it took to move that process up. I see the superintendent of schools going like this back there.
Sweating back there?
But I just wanted to make sure that I thanked them for doing that, because I'm not sure everybody knew what a Herculean task that was to move it forward. Again, I'd like to thank the municipal department heads who were with us and our town administration, who again were with this joint budget subcommittee from start to finish. We held, not the least of which, the town administrator, deputy town administrator, and our whole municipal departments. Again, this was, for me anyway, I thought it was a fantastic process, and one that I hope to continue as we move forward. We did have 6 listening sessions where the Joint Budget Subcommittee met to listen to the residents. We had one at the Elks, we had one at Remington Jefferson, we had one during the morning at the senior center, and one at night at the senior center. We had one on a Saturday morning at council chambers, followed by the final one, which was held at the high school auditorium last Wednesday evening, which was followed by a meeting, or the continuation of the meeting with the Joint Budget Subcommittee, who met and discussed where we were, and actually are recommending to the council the override ballot question that is in front of us this evening. The Joint Budget Subcommittee voted 9-1 to recommend this ballot question to the council. Again, I can't thank everybody enough for all the work that went into the last 7 months, but I think it was a really good process. Our work isn't over. We still have that structural deficit, and the work really just begins. So with that, I will go to other members of the Joint Budget Subcommittee. Councilor Chandler, who is the vice chair, I go to him first, just for any comments he might have.
Okay, yeah, I just want to reiterate a couple things through you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Okay, during the 6 listening sessions, I obviously spoke out for the 3.8 number. I really thought that that was the best number that we had to pass, and basically this is why in a nutshell. Okay, the bottom line is, on the municipal side, we keep the 3rd ambulance with this. On the whole municipal side, we keep all departments whole, like I said. No layoffs to any of our municipal department heads. No layoffs to their departments. Now let's talk about the school side quickly, the same thing. We don't lose any art or music teachers for the first time. And on their side, on the school side, we keep them whole. No teacher layoffs. I mean, this is the number we need, and those are the things that we need done so that we can move on next year and keep the services that we have, we want, and obviously we need. So that's where I am with that. And can I just say one quick thing about the ballot question? Or is that a different?
No, you can ask a question about that.
Just, this basically is only a paragraph, but it says, for the purpose of municipal and school operating budgets. Everybody's got to remember that. This is not just for municipal, this is just not, the schools are gonna get the piece too. It's not just for the municipal. So I just need to reiterate that.
Thank you,
Thank
Brian.
you.
And
Yeah.
again, this is the structural deficit that we sit with today to provide the community with the current level of services that you're being provided for on the municipal part of our government as well as the school part of our community. So again, level services, $3.862 million is the shortfall to provide that level of service. Councilor Hamlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through the chair. I went to all the listening sessions, I've been to all the meetings too, but I even made it to the February 12th. With the one I wasn't really quite sure I was going to make it to because I had been to Copenhagen and I thought maybe I would have jet lag, but I made it anyways because I felt it was really important to be there. But on the flight to Copenhagen, I had a serious hypoxia event, so my blood oxygen level was below 70%. And I think if my husband hadn't woken up when he did, I probably wouldn't have made it to any of the other ones, right? But I tell that story just to remind all of us how lucky we all are to be here together, right? Together at this time, together in this place, working, listening, and building compromise. And that's just a beautiful thing. And I think when we go through our lives, we kind of forget. We're so busy. But, when you come through something and you start thinking about, we're really lucky to be here, right? All the crazy turmoil that's going on in the world. But we're here together to find the best possible solution to our issues, right? The sessions and the process were amazing. They worked better than my expectations, which I had pretty high expectations, so I think that's a wonderful thing. That means everybody, the civil discourse, the questions that were asked, the understanding that we could see coming, it was amazing, just amazing, right? And I think we owe a lot of this. Chair Mercer said that he thanked everybody, but he really brought it all together, right? And I'm just gonna clap a little bit. And he's gonna get really embarrassed, which he should be embarrassed. It's a good thing, it's okay, because we're proud to be here, right? I'm proud to be a part of this process, and I think every one of you that have been through it with us should be too. This community, I stand behind this resolution 100%. It is what we are needed to keep our current level of services. And the majority of the residents who we spoke to and talked to and have been listening to all agree. It's just a wonderful thing. And that is democracy. It is a beautiful thing. So thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for letting me speak tonight.
Thank you, Councilor Hamlin. Councilor Frangillo?
I'll keep it very brief. We've had a lot of meetings about this. I have aspirations for a town that I enumerated with further restored services and added services that I think a municipality of our size should offer for its residents. But I certainly don't want to see us starting to offer substantially worse services than what we offer today. That starts a negative feedback loop that scares me. I think this is as narrowly tailored what we need this year to get us through this year and continue to offer the fantastic services that we've come to expect in Franklin. I think it's a very fair number. I think it's one that takes into consideration the needs of everyone who came out last year. And we need this passed, and I'm excited to get some energy behind it.
Thank you, Councilor Frangillo. Councilor Jones?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wasn't on the joint budget subcommittee, but I attended several of the meetings, watched all the meetings, and listened to all of the feedback that the public had, and it was a tremendous outpouring. And I can't even begin to thank all of the members who were part of that, the dozen so odd people, including, as the chair put it, all the department heads and the town administration and all the school committee members and everyone who came out to support this and to try to make our best efforts to get the people's input as well as convey to them the necessary amount of money we need to keep our budget level. But I was kind of quantifying a few things in my head over the weekend. You had at least a dozen people on the committee and several dozen or so other people in the audience who were at all these various sessions. If you were to put a number behind all of the hours that went into making this what it is tonight, I jokingly priced it out at electrician's rate, you're talking close to $30,000 of people's time into getting this process to where it is tonight, that is all volunteer. That's the one point I want to make from this tonight, is that every single hour, every single day, every single night that this went in, this process, every single person was volunteering their time to make this happen. And I just want to thank them for that, because that is true commitment to this community. And it's making me teary-eyed thinking about it. And of course, you spearheaded the whole thing, so Mr. Chairman, great job once again for putting that all together. You did a wonderful job. He gets embarrassed. This is my opportunity to take advantage of that. So, but I want to express to the council as well as the members of the Joint Budget Subcommittee, I support this. Everything that's come before us tonight, the way it's written, the amount that's here, in order to keep, I think Councilor Chandler put it the best. This is what we need, folks, to keep the budget level. And I know we can do this, because together we can do anything. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Jones. Councilor Cormier Ledger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Don't worry, I won't embarrass you. But thank you to you and to everybody. Is this on?
Yep.
Okay. I was fortunate enough to attend all 6 listening sessions in person and took a lot away from going to those. And I thought it was very important to hear from the public, a few that had concerns, certainly those that spoke up about affordability, and the residents that spoke about not wanting to see police response times diminish, not wanting to see ambulance and fire times lengthened, not wanting to see further cuts to school programs, not wanting to see our library further cut to maybe be a part-time program. We heard from seniors that talked about how important the senior center was to their everyday lives. We heard from our DPW director that said, please don't take any more money away from my street and sidewalk budgets. As you all know, that's a place of personal attention for me. I guess we'll just leave it at that.
Brutus isn't paying you.
That's okay. That's okay. But I just want everyone to know that we heard them, that we are supporting this number because it's what we need to move forward. Several people have sent us emails. I've met with people for coffee. They've said, well, why don't you just cut this? Why don't you just cut that? Why don't you take 2% here, take 2% there? We're trying to avoid any further cuts. We're trying to keep staff morale at some sort of level where people want to come to work and continue to come to work and give us 110%. That doesn't happen when you make cuts. And I think it's important for the public to know we do an annual audit. So for anybody that was screaming at me on Facebook about it, we need an audit, guess what, folks? We do one. We do one every single year. They're all on the website. They're all there if you need to read it. We don't have a management letter, which means we have a clean audit, which means we're doing everything right with your money. For those of you that are speculating about where's all our money going, it's all right there. The budget process is very clear, very transparent. There's no conspiracy theories. There's no nepotism. The stuff that's coming out online is truly awful. However, we get past that and we say, yeah, you know what? We're doing the very, very best that we can. But I also want everyone to hear the point that the police chief made, that the fire chief made, and that the superintendent made, that when you continue down this road of cuts, it gets harder and harder to attract people to come here and fill the vacancies that we have. So when these young policemen and young fire personnel and young teachers are looking at a place to go or move their family, and they're saying, yeah, I'm going to take a pass at Franklin because you guys are unstable, you guys are going through some rocky times with your budget, I'm going to go work somewhere else. How do you rebuild from that? That's really, really tough, everybody. So what we're trying to do is level the ship and move this thing forward. Applause to our school committee members, because you know what? Not only did they do the budget process, but they were redistricting. which is one of the most difficult things from what I'm being told that can happen, right? They were doing both simultaneously. And they looked at their budget hard last year. They came to us with a much higher number last year. They saved $1.9 million in their school budget from redistricting and another approximately $500,000 saved to facilities. That's real money. None of these are easy conversations, everybody. These are difficult conversations. And I hear the people that asked us for more, by the way, right? I got like swarmed after that last meeting with people asking me, please go for a higher number, we don't want to be here again in a year. I hear you loud and clear. But we also have an affordability piece to this, and we have to listen to the residents who are saying, these are tough times, my gas bills are more high, my electric bills are more high, food is more high. I love my town, I'll do what's right, but please try to keep this at the lowest, most manageable number possible, and I think that's what we're doing. So thank you to everybody in this process. I support the 3.8 number, and yes, I personally will vote yes at the ballot because that gets asked of me all the time too. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Cormier-Ledger. Councilor Pellegrini.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A lot of things that I want to say have already been said, but I also was not a member of the subcommittee, and I didn't go to any of the meetings in person, but I did watch every one of them on Zoom. And I think they were all held perfectly. The people that came to the mic asking the questions in that, they were all legitimate questions that needed to be answered so that they could understand exactly what was going on. I want to thank everyone, certainly the committee, the subcommittee, and Jamie and the finance committee. I'm sorry, the finance committee, yes, and the finance department for putting all of the numbers together like that. I mean, it was not an easy job, and I know that. And to come up with the amount now that we need, and we didn't just round it off to 4, we kept it at 3.827, was it?
86.
86, okay. And, but who's counting, right? I think
We are very much
that-
counting. A lot of counting is
We're
happening.
missing the change.
I want to thank the school department and the town department for working so well together. A few years ago, you know, we didn't have that cooperation, and this has just worked out perfectly, and I thank you all for that. James, and let me just see. Well, I just want to say that I do support this question being put on the ballot. Someone had asked me, are you going to vote to put this on the ballot? And I said, of course I am. It's up to the people to decide if they want this or not. I can't tell you to do this. I can't tell you not to do it. You think about it. You vote what you think is best. Vote what you feel you can afford and what you feel is best for the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Pellegrini. I just want to add 2 other things. When Councilor DeLorco called me this afternoon, he asked me to express his 100% support and 100% behind this ballot question and the next question coming up. So he wanted everybody to be aware that he does support this totally. And this was a team effort. It wasn't any one person or one group. It was a team effort. But the team needs leaders. And I'd be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to say to Jamie Helen, our town administrator, and Lucas Jaguar, our superintendent of schools, we aren't here without you two. That's right. You two make us go. And thank you for everything you did to get us to this point. Okay, is there any, oh, I'm sorry, Patrick.
Everything's been said. I want to thank everybody too. I'll be voting yes tonight and in June.
Thank you. Sorry,
No
Patrick.
problem.
Council Chambers, Dave, Dave and Dave.
What a pair.
If we have any more Daves in the room, Dave Callahan, 30 Plain Street, Chair of the Franklin School Committee.
Dave McNeil, 85 Cross Street, Vice Chair.
And want to begin also just saying thank you very much, Chairman Mercer, Town Administrator, all the department heads, Superintendent Jagir's entire team, all of our colleagues on the Town Council, School Committee, and FinCom, who are all a part of these meetings, either at the table or in the audience as well. And huge thanks for all the citizens that came out, that asked questions, that watched and learned a lot more. This was a long process, but a great process. And I really thank you and appreciate that. Just about like an hour and a half ago, school committee met to talk about, just have a little discussion and vote on their support of the joint budget's recommendation. That's before you guys right now. And I just wanted to say, we're very happy to say that the school committee voted unanimously in support of the joint budget's recommendation. And so as everyone's already kind of commented and has said at all the listening sessions as well, fixing the structural deficit is just paramount right now for Franklin. I know just from the school's perspective, as town administrator had modeled out, if the structural deficit is not solved, the schools would be looking at about 54% of that structural deficit, over $2 million. And it would be absolutely devastating, especially as we are moving forward, this transformative reorganization that Councilor Cormier Ledger, thank you very much, pointed out. There's, just the millions of dollars in savings. And again, it's providing a better educational experience for our kids as well as we move forward. But we need every dollar for the FY26 budget in order to kind of make that successful. But again, you do have the unanimous support from the entire school committee behind this recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay, is there anyone else in council chambers that has a question or a comment? Is there anyone out there in Zoom land that has a question or comment? Okay, seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 25-15, a majority votes required. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, one absent. Okay, Resolution 25-16, setting date of Proposition 2.5 override ballot, question. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 25-16, setting date for Proposition 2.5 override ballot question. Be it resolved by the Franklin Town Council that the town of Franklin shall hold a special local election on June 3rd, 2025, for the purpose of presenting to the voters an override in real estate and personal property tax ballot question for the purpose of the municipal and school operating budgets. This resolution should become effective according to the provisions of the Town of Franklin Home Rule Charter.
Move Resolution 25-16.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Any councilors? Nancy, our town clerk.
Good evening, everybody. Nancy
Good
Danello,
evening.
your town clerk. Hi. So, in anticipation that this resolution would be approved, I just want to let the residents and voters know that I will be mailing out a card that explains when the election is. There'll be a QR code on here that will link you to a vote by mail application. Yes, we will be voting by mail, and I will also have in-person early voting held in the clerk's office. I will do it on a weekend as well, and I do have all those dates, and they will be on my website. So, what does the card say? It has the question on the card, it has the election date, the time where the election will be held, and links to my website and Jamie's website as well, explaining what the override entails, and my website will explain all election information. And if you have any questions, you know that we're in the office, except for next week, I'm on vacation. So feel free, but I will definitely, the other ladies will be there, so please feel free to call. And basically, that's it. So any questions, reach out. Thank you.
Nancy.
Thank you.
I don't remember voting on Nancy's vacation. Jamie?
Just really quickly, thank you for Nancy for doing that. Also, just for folks to be aware, we have at least prepared a draft on the back end of an override website. I know that came up months and months ago. There was one in FY25, and we'll get that up probably in the next couple days, assuming that the next vote is established with the date. So all of the materials will be there. We've crunched information to put it for the people that don't want to read anything. We've got things on one-page sheets. For people that want to read 10, 15-page documents and see the history, everything's there. Our budget website has a transactional history dating back to September. All the YouTube clips are there, all the materials are there, all the transparency is there. I do appreciate Councilor Cormier-Ledger's comment. This has been an extraordinarily transparent process, and thank obviously the superintendent and the school committee and everybody for their effort in it. But all of that material will be up, crunched a million ways from Sunday for every appetite. And there will be a frequently asked questions portal that will also be on there. We have the questions from last year duplicated for this year, but the new website has a function in it where people can email us, and Amy's done a great job to set that up, at least for now, where it's coming to all of us and the school staff. So if people just use that portal to ask questions, and then those questions and answers will be right there live on the website when they're answered, so everybody can stay in tune. That might also get maybe just a few people off Facebook and actually onto where the facts and the information are, in all seriousness. Where like the information that is out there that sometimes can be confusing or people just don't know, we're trying to create a one space where everybody can get all of that information. So that'll be up over the next few days. Thank you, Mark. My man.
Okay, any other questions or comments from council? Any questions or comments from council chambers?
That's great.
Anyone out there in Zoom land? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 25-16. A majority votes required. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimous, one absent. Thank you. Now the work starts.
Yep. Go, everybody.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, bylaw amendment 25-925, amendment to sewer system map Raymond Street. This is the second reading. Clerk will read the bylaw amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is bylaw amendment 25-925, amendment to sewer system map, a bylaw to amend the code of Town of Franklin at Chapter 139, Section 139-14, sewer system map, be enacted by the Franklin Town Council. The Chapter 139, Section 139-14 of the code of Town of Franklin, entitled Sewer System Map, Exhibit A, map be amended by adding as the eligible location of the following. Section 139-14, sewer system map, Exhibit A. Extending sewer system to provide town sewer service to duplex-style house proposed for future construction on a vacant lot located at 5759 Raymond Street. The proposed extension will extend the existing sewer main by approximately 40 feet of new PVC sewer main and will require the installation of a new sewer manhole. This bylaw amendment shall not become effective until all conditions agreed to between the property owner and the Franklin Department of Public Works are satisfied. This bylaw amendment shall otherwise become effective according to the provisions of the Town of Franklin Home Rule Charter.
Move bylaw amendment 25-925.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion, Jamie?
Just the next two amendments are the sewer and water system map for Raymond Street that y'all approved unanimously a few weeks ago. It's just the second reason.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve bylaw amendment 25-925. A majority roll call votes required. Clerk will call the roll.
Sheridan?
Yes.
Cormier Ledger?
Yes.
Frangillo?
Yes.
Chandler?
Yes.
Pellegri?
Yes.
Hamblin?
Yes.
Jones, yes. Chair?
Yes,
That's 8, 1 absent, sir.
motion carries. Bylaw amendment 25-926, amendment to water system map, Raymond Street, second reading. Clerk will read the bylaw amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is
Motion to
bylaw
waive the
amendment.
reading?
Second.
Motion and second to waive the reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Move bylaw amendment 25-926.
Second.
Motion and a second. Jamie, quick summary?
Same.
Pretty much been said.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve bylaw amendment 25-926. Again, a majority roll call votes required. Clerk will call the roll.
Hamblin?
Yes.
Pellegri?
Yes.
Frangillo?
Yes.
Chandler?
Yes.
Sheridan?
Yes.
Cormier Ledger?
Yes.
Jones, yes. Chair?
Yes,
8, 1 absent, sir.
motion carries. Resolution 25-17, acceptance of gifts, Veteran Services Department, $635. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 25-17, acceptance of gifts, Veteran Services Department, whereas the Veteran Service Department has received generous donations in the total amount of $635 to be used at the discretion of the department as follows. Donation summary, Veteran Service Department, $635. Donations to be used at the discretion of the Veteran Service Department through both the Veterans Gift Fund and the Franklin Municipal Veterans Assistance Fund in support of local veterans and their families. The list of all donors is included in the March 19, 2025 Town Council meeting agenda packet. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Council, Town of Franklin, on behalf of the Veteran Services Department, gratefully accepts these generous donations to be used at the discretion of the department for the purposes noted above. This resolution should become effective according to the provisions of the Town of Franklin Home Rule Charter.
Move resolution 25-17.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion.
Thank you.
Just, again, a continuous thank you to all of these different individuals and groups, businesses that continue to support our veteran services, our senior center, and all our different departments within the community. Your generosity is certainly, well, much appreciated. So with that, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 25-17. A majority votes required. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Town Administrator's report.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a few things to mention. I just want to first recognize Archbishop Henning. I know we all got a letter. I got one, the chief, with his incredibly beautiful remarks on behalf of our Franklin Fire Department and everything that they did for the church. Obviously, it's a wonderful story to see them back up and going, but I thought for the Archbishop to, and we're going to post it online. I don't know if the fire department has yet and whatnot, but just for him to take the time out to write a personal letter to a lot of folks in town, I think speaks very highly to our fire department and all the town officials, and I think a lot of the comments you heard here before. So that was very, very nice of him to do that. I was unable to attend last week because I was sick, but I want to give a shout out to Corey Shea and the Cultural District Committee and the Cultural Council for holding the kind of resuscitating an old grant recipient ceremony that we used to do years ago. I want to congratulate Amy Adams, Sarah Cronin, Lauren Clues, Roger Trahan, and Brenna Johnson for all being award winners at that. But not only their work in the community and the little victories that we see, but also just having Corey be able to coordinate that and build kind of a ceremony and a recognition of a lot of the arts is really, really important for that sector to grow. A couple of other tid points. I just renewed the lease. Most people don't know this. Every 5 years, we tell everybody and remind everybody, we do not own the Ferraris lot, the parking lot, the public lot right across the street from where Franklin Nutrition would be, right across from the Black Box. So we were just successful in renegotiating that lease for 5 more years. So that's a really good thing for downtown, for good parking for people down there. The real big news is, I know I've given updates on this, but it's finally official. Huge kudos to our town attorney. I want to thank Alan Earls on the Historical Commission and a ton of other staff. We've been working to get all of the preservation restrictions, all of the quitclaim deeds, all of the work done on the Old South Church down on Washington Street. It is now all finally complete, and next week those documents will be handed off to Habitat for Humanity. Habitat will take all of that to the Registry of Deeds over in, I think, Dedham, and they will then go forth, and the property will officially turn hands for 5 years to Habitat for Humanity. And I have been told once they do that, then they can start to begin to break ground on that affordable unit down there. So that is a huge announcement and a huge win for the town of Franklin. Yes, thank you, Mel. Man, those preservation restrictions take a long time.
Yeah.
Signatures and signatures, and I would be remiss, they're not listening, but you know, Michael Steinitz at the Mass Historic Commission and Secretary Galvin's office, just they do a great job, and they're a pain in the butt, but without them, they wouldn't hold every community to the standards, and we would lose a tremendous amount of our historical character in our community. So I know they're not watching, but maybe some clips will get somewhere and they'll see it, but they do a really good job, even though there's a lot of mailing going back and forth. And then finally, Mr. DeRico kind of pointed this out. I was going to say this myself. I think we're all aware of how divided and divisive development can be in Franklin these days. I want all of you to know, we've all received either phone calls or conversations in our daily lives, and certainly a couple emails here and there. I get contacted a lot. I want all of you to know that I have personally called or met with or responded to everybody that has made inquiries, at least to my office. I have had very positive conversations with a lot of individuals helping to correct maybe some of the misinformation that's been written to us. I've spent hours upon hours. I know that everyone has been very grateful for my time. I think they're probably all grateful for all of your time. And I know that most people are very grateful for our volunteers' time on the Planning Board and the ZBA and the Conservation Commission. As we move forward this week, as Joel said earlier, just for transparency, the Zoning Board of Appeals will be starting the public hearings on the Stobarts project across the street. They are to, I know we don't want to give credit where always credit is due, but many of you have asked and lobbied, if not all of you, myself, other members in the community, to have their hearings in person. They are doing them right here in this chamber next Thursday at 7 o'clock. I have asked the building commissioner as well as the chair of the zoning board to do their due diligence and not just see this as a hearing, but also use this as an opportunity to do what the Joint Budget Subcommittee just did. Walk a lot of the citizens. There's going to be a lot of people watching on YouTube. There'll be people on Zoom. There'll be people in the chamber. Use this opportunity to help educate the community on the four corners of the puzzle and how these hearings and what permitting goes through. What are the considerations to be made? And finally, I would just say to everybody who's going to show up at those hearings, and I commend the council very much. A couple weeks ago, many of you spoke up about civility at these public hearings, particularly at the planning board. I believe this Monday will be a continuation of the Summer Street project as well. The comments and things that I've heard directed at individuals are highly, at times, defamatory. It is information that is completely misleading. It is not very civil at times. I very much understand and respect that people's emotions are very high on these issues. I think to Councilor Cormier-Ledger's point earlier and others, we understand that these things are having an impact on people's quality of lives. I understand Mr. DeRico's comments earlier. He is correct. These things do have an impact. They are change. They bring a different perspective to people who live here already. This is not also unique to just Franklin. This is going on all around Eastern Massachusetts with the MBTA Communities Law, with state government kind of taking over some pieces, ADUs. We've also had a very exhausting 5 years, and there's been a lot of change. I just would echo what the council said a few weeks ago as we enter a week where Summer Street will be back on the docket as well as Stobart's, that we respect all of your opinions, and we hope that everybody that comes to these meetings can respect other people's opinions. We just had a master plan committee talk about Councilor Jones's comments earlier about $30,000 worth of electrician time. The master plan probably blew through $200,000 worth of people's volunteer time to go through an omnibus process. And there's a lot of differences between what we're hearing from people and then what's in the master plan. And I think this is an evolution that's going to take a long time in the community. This community is going through a lot of change. But I think the Joint Budget Subcommittee just portrayed a really wonderful process. I think, as Councilor Hanlon said and many others, people were very civil. The questions were very, very articulate. They were very good. And it led to a process that came out with a general amount of consensus. I just ask all the residents showing up at these meetings, please take that model with yourself. I tell people all the time when they call me about development, if you go to obstruct and block everything, escalation happens, people get angry and upset, and oftentimes you don't get the result you really want. It's very hard to just block and obstruct everything. On the flip side, if you're constructive, if you just speak your mind, if you ask good questions, oftentimes our permitting boards, our planning board, our zoning board of appeals, and our conservation commission, in my 10 years here, do an absolutely unbelievable job to the best of their ability trying to mitigate projects and try to deal with residential concerns, whether it's tree buffers, whether it's traffic issues, whether it's sidewalks, improvements, whether it's mitigation for water and sewer, stormwater. Please be civil, please be constructive, and please be considerate of all the views throughout the community when dealing with development, because I can understand that this week coming up will certainly have a lot of passion and feeling. So I appreciate the time to listen to that, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted all of you to know and the community to know, because I said I would do this to the many people that I talked to over the last few weeks. We hear you. We understand these are huge issues. We understand people are upset. And I want everybody that's written to us, and me in particular, to know I spent a lot of time meeting with you, talking with you. I do hear you. We do understand your concerns. We hope you recognize that we have other concerns that we have as well on these challenging projects. And hopefully this next week might, with the Joint Budget Subcommittee behind of us, maybe we can take that, and hopefully this next week can be a really constructive conversation in the community about development and not end up like what happened a few weeks ago with the planning board, especially with the Stobart's project coming up. So thank you very much for your time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Jamie. Okay, next item on the agenda is subcommittee reports, and I don't believe any of them have met, other than the Joint Budget Subcommittee, and I already gave that one. Yeah. So we don't need to hear that one again. GATRA, yeah.
Yeah, GATRA met today. Nothing too much of note, but we're tracking certainly the uncertainty of the federal and state funding toward regional transit. So that was the big thing. That and the use of our local microtransit, the grab and go, was higher than anticipated and certainly higher than previous years. So that's a good thing, but also means that we need to right size our budget accordingly. Nothing of concern for us, but reporting out what we have. Yeah.
Thank you, Councilor Frangillo. Okay, future agenda items. Councilor Cormier-Ledger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and through you, just to echo Jamie's comments, thank you to those that reached out to us about the ZBA and about concerns. Perhaps we are at a crossroads as a council, and perhaps it's time to revisit ZBA authority, ZBA things that they are and are not allowed to vote on. I understand that some of that is within our purview to review and perhaps limit if in fact there is a problem, because we are hearing of, let's be honest, an abuse of approved variances, and that's what the community is very, very concerned about. The fact that there's never a no, there's always a yes, hundreds of yeses. why have this panel make these zoning changes and all of these laws if they're not going to be adhered to? I understand some exceptions, but perhaps it's time as a body to listen to what these people are saying and review that. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councilor Cormier-Ledger. Councilor Chandler.
Nothing at this time.
Councilor Pellegrini.
Nothing on the agenda.
Councilor Sheridan.
Yes, same thing as Councilor Cormier-Ledger discussing the zoning board. We've got a lot of calls, maybe thinking of term limits. And I guess the question is, I know some select boards are still meeting on Zoom, but could we require that all of our boards meet in person? Is that
I'm
possible?
not sure we
It's a good
can.
question. So
It's a good question.
it's a great question. So to both of their questions, I'll kind of answer both of them really quickly because I just spoke to it as well, and I probably didn't get through all my talking points because I know they were long. The legislature actually just codified into law the remote participation statutes that we see here, the post-COVID remote participation that we have here. So they just, again, I know this seems crazy, they temporarily put it in place for 2 more years. So the extension they just did for 2 years will now make it so that they've done this temporarily for 7 years. Now, while that sounds crazy, because on one hand it does, but on the other hand, there are some legitimate issues that legislatively have to be worked out to make that permanent. And I think what I'm sure Representative Roy and Senator Roush understand, to Councilor Sheridan's point, there are some boards, there are many boards in Massachusetts that have never met in person since COVID. That is not because of illness or travel or other things. That is just because they've just chosen to do that. So you have 351 cities and towns. You probably have 10,000 boards and committees, and they all see life a different way. And so to get a consensus on that has been very challenging for the legislature. I do really thank the legislature for extending that 2 years, because then Mr. Chairman wouldn't be able to say, and Zoomland, legitimately, because then it would be only in person or on YouTube and there wouldn't be able to be a Zoom option. So we're taking the glass half full on this one. In terms of the ZBA, one of the other things I didn't mention was, I did talk to the chairman earlier, post-override, I think, we do have filled agendas going for the next couple months already with stuff that we need to do. We are having the auditors come in and present as well. And I think there is a discussion that should happen about, less about the term limits or board members. I know that that's been a focus of some of the emails. But the variance issue has been very highly distorted in the community. 99% of those variances that people are referencing are actually to help residential property owners with shed setbacks, pools, decks, additions. So when people go to their community, when they come to this community and they say, geez, I want to put in a pool or an addition or a setback on a garage, and the rules don't allow, the ZBA works with those folks and their neighbors to check out on that stuff. I think the impression has been is that the variance across the street, the 4-story building that everybody in town hates, is like somehow been done 150 or 200 times. That is not true. So the variance issue has been highly distorted. But I do think Councilor Sheridan and Councilor Cormier-Ledger's points are very valid. I hope the Stobart's hearing at least starts to help the conversation of the learning curve in the community of what the zoning board process is, what they do, what a variance is. And I do acknowledge and do believe their idea is a very good one, that sometime later in June or July, maybe we can invite in the ZBA or some of the other permitting officials too, and maybe we can have a little bit more of an open dialogue and help educate the community of some of this stuff. So I appreciate the time, Mr. Chairman. I hope that answered Councilor Sheridan's questions.
Thank you. Councilor Sheridan, you all set?
Yep.
Councilor Frangillo.
Yeah, we have the best men's basketball team in the state.
Nope, not yet.
Agenda items. Agenda items.
Oh, okay. Well, I would like to see them. They're coming out.
They're coming out. That's an agenda. They're coming.
That is an agenda.
Yeah. Yeah, I have lots of thoughts on the variance thing, happy to have a conversation.
Yeah. Thank you, Councilor Frangillo. Councilor Hamblin?
Nothing at this time.
Councilor Jones?
Not at this time, sir.
Okay, councilor comments. Councilor Comey-Ledger. No, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Councilor Frangillo.
Number one team of the state. Yeah, huge congrats to them. It was a fantastic game. Thanks to my colleagues who went in person. That's cool. Good vibes. I would actually, we certainly, as we normally do, would love to come and celebrate them here. Hope to see some of y'all at the coffee hour tomorrow. And then, yeah, lots of thoughts on the variance. If that's something that interests you, it interests me and it interests a few other people in town. And there's a really cool group that I am a part of called Ben for Franklin, Building Equitable Neighborhoods for Franklin. And all they do is sit around and talk about understanding zoning and variances and special permits and how we build communities and one of the underlying policy factors that lead to a community looking a certain way or feeling a certain way. If you're interested in that, we have our monthly meeting tomorrow. You can go to benforfranklin.org or find us tomorrow at Franklin TV at 7 o'clock, where we meet every third Thursday. Variances, our reliance on variances is a product of a very intentional policy decision to overly restrict our zoning so that almost nothing you can have that you like in town could actually be built by right. You need to have variances and special permits. It was intentionally designed that way so that we could have this long, expensive, exhaustive process and fight over every single project. It's why most of them go forward. Again, happy to talk about it more at a Ben for Franklin meeting.
Thank you, Councilor Frangillo. Councilor Sheridan.
Yeah, and also cheerleaders won the national championship, and
In the theater.
And I believe the drama club is up for a big competition this weekend.
Next week.
Next week. Yeah.
Next weekend? Yeah. And then I went to the first mass at St. Mary's, and Archbishop Henning said his father, he's from a generation of New York firefighters.
No. Interesting.
Thank you, Councilor Sheridan. Councilor Hamblin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to send condolences to the DeLorco family and all the families involved in their loss today. And, I just want to remind people now to continue to move the community in unity forward so that we have we don't have our deficit anymore. And it's going to take all of us to continue the work. But there's been so much good stuff that we've already has happened. Thank you to our town administrative team and the school district team, again, for everything that everyone's done. And all the department heads that are still here tonight, everybody, the ones that are here with us. So thank you to everyone who's participated. And I'm exhausted, so I'll just stop. I'm rambling, I'm just gonna stop.
Thank you, Councilor Hamblin. Councilor Comey-Ledger.
Still writing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have to write my thoughts down or I'll forget them. It was,
Welcome to old age.
I know, I guess it happens after 50, but I'm not going to admit that to anybody. Absolutely, congratulations to our Franklin High School varsity boys basketball team. Congratulations to the cheerleaders, and a special shout out to all of the theater kids. It's worth noting that they, also were 100% self-funded, and were not getting the same level of support that they had in the past, but they rose above that. They got a new advisor, the parents jumped in, the kids stepped up. They really made an amazing year. I got to see a few months ago when they did one of their plays, and it was really top-notch. So congratulations to all of those kids and families that are involved. Thank you. It is so awesome to see the visitor side bleachers going up at the high school through various funding sources other than our operating budget. So in fact, nothing gets my kids' attention, and I mean nothing, But we drove by that and they both were like, Daddy, 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 stop, look, they're doing something to the bleachers. So we all took a moment to get out and look at what was happening. And I said, kids, that is democracy at work. It was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing. And in fact, my oldest, the competitive one, he said, well, why do we want the visitor side to be as nice as the home side? Don't we want the visitor side to be not so nice, Dad? And I said, now, come on, Charlie, that's not good sportsmanship. We want both sides to be as nice as possible. But that's the stuff we deal with in my house. The school, I just wanted to, for anybody watching, the school committee proposed budget for FY26 is a little bit better than level service, just a smidge. And I just wanted people to understand, and you can go on their website, you can talk to Lucas, you can talk to anybody in the school committee, but their proposed budget, assuming the override passes, restores 8 positions. And some of those sports and bus fees, Dave was being modest, some of them are cut as much as half. Assuming this all can go through, which is significant to the number of families that I speak to who are concerned about how much it's costing if you've got 2 kids to go through programs and busing in addition to everything else. So please take a minute and look at those materials or talk to those guys for more information. And then finally, I just want to support Ms. Callaway Tripp's idea of the Parmenter Subcommittee, even though there has been no decision made about where the police station will be or whether we even will approve a debt exclusion to build a new police station. I want everyone to understand that the conversation around Parmenter is important. So I would support at the appropriate time there being a subcommittee along those lines. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Comey-Ledger. Councilor Chandler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to reiterate a couple of things, unfortunately, but I need to say them. So I'm obviously sorry to Councilor DeLoco and family on your loss. I know it's always hard. Oops, I need to be a little closer. I know everyone has congratulated the basketball team, but I just want to put a little spin on that.
No pun intended.
Yeah, yeah, my finger. You know, to this day, I still miss going to my kids' games. I really do. I hope all the parents out there really enjoy it. Take some time to make sure you go because it's just such a fun time. And obviously it's more fun to win. But so congratulations again. I can't wait till I come to the council chamber. And again, lastly, thank you so much for the citizens' comments tonight from Mr. Dorico, Ms. Tripp, senior center people. Great points tonight, great points. And one list, that wasn't lastly. So again, on this override number, look at the crowd. We all came together and it was great to see that the school committee was also a unanimous vote. So that's, I think we're all on the same page and still a lot of work to do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Chandler. Councilor Pellegrin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to begin by thanking Sarah. Yeah, I'm so glad that you stayed because I love getting your messages on my phone. And I know your voice now, so you don't even have to say this is Sarah from the, whatever. But no, I think that you kept us well informed and I look forward to Friday going up there to see how things are and I'm sure it's going to be wonderful. I'm sure it's going to be wonderful. But thank you for all that you did during this whole time and your staff. Secondly, Jamie, I have a question about the volunteers. How are we doing with volunteers? I know I saw it online.
Oh, in terms of people applying?
Yes.
I think we've gotten maybe a half a dozen to a dozen applications for various boards over the last month. So we're kind of trying to fill the well up. I think as I announced, it's a great question. I think as I maybe mentioned last year, we had gone through everybody who had applied before. There are a few people that are already teed up that had applied earlier this year. I think for Finance Committee and a couple of others that have already been met with and discussed. But I think we have about another dozen or so that have applied over the last month. And it's a good plug. If you're looking forward to volunteering on a board, and just to dispel any myth and rumor, just because people are on a board before does not mean they need to be on a board again. You know, and we've started to reach out. Julie, in my office, usually starts to reach out to board members now to see if they're interested in renewing their terms or not. And we'll usually have those appointments for folks usually in June, so.
Well, with a community the size of ours, I mean, we certainly have a lot of people
Yeah.
that we would like to ask to
Well-
think twice about perhaps serving on a committee.
I would also say, and I have to say it, but sometimes the civility that goes on at meetings is a deterrent for people wanting to volunteer. And it's a cold, hard truth. And so I think as we enter this week again, there aren't a lot of people that want to be on some of these boards. And I sometimes can't blame them. So I think that if we can kind of quiet things down and be civil and constructive, maybe more volunteers would step up.
Next, about the Zoom and the meetings being held that way. I think that when we hold a meeting and we're in person and we go to Zoom, I think that works out very well. It's the committees that are not meeting as a whole, they're the ones that I have a problem with. All right, so hopefully that's gonna all be taken care of now, okay? I'd like to just reiterate about St. Mary's Church, the opening of it and all. It just gave you goosebumps when you went inside, and, you know, it was filled to capacity. It was just wonderful. And DeLocco family, my heart goes out to them. Very difficult, very difficult. We just had a death with a classmate of mine, her husband, and a member of the DeBadges family. And the outturn was unbelievable, the people that came out. She graduated, we went to school together from first grade up, and she moved to 2 different places, and right now is living in Dennis. And the people that came out when I was in line talking to them, they were unbelievable. They came from North Attleboro, where she had lived at one time, and now in Dennis, where she lives. So it was a great tribute, it really, really was. And I would like to end by saying, when you show respect, you get respect in return. Let's keep that in mind. Okay?
Thank you, Councilor Pellegrini. Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Condolences to the DeLorco family, as it's been said already. I feel bad, you know, for Bobby. Bobby wouldn't miss such an important vote if there wasn't really good reason for it. So prayers to him and his family on their loss. I know that's difficult. But one thing I'd like to bring up before I get into the good stuff is actually talk about the loss of a good friend of mine and my neighbor. For anybody who's ever come to the town hall and went to the inspectionals department and spoke to anybody at the desk and met a very, very, very kind lady named Judy Demers, who just passed away a couple of days ago. She's 75 years old, and Judy was, the word saint is the only thing that comes to mind, because she was one of the nicest people that you could meet. When you walked down there and you asked for something, she was that smiling face that would always come to the desk and say, how can I help you? What can I do for you? And she was always on top of things and always just a friendly person to meet and greet. And I'm sad for her loss. So I'm gonna just stop it there before I start to cry. But tough loss for the neighborhood. She was my neighbor. She was actually lived in the house next to the Olsons, who Mary Olson just passed away not too recently too. It's sad losing my friends and my neighbors, and especially a treasured community member and Franklin municipal employee. So God bless her. On a good note, I want to jump to the Franklin High School Theater Company. I think, and you know, Councilor Comey-Ledger, you nailed it. I wanted to talk about this for just a second. The schools lost their theater instructor last year because we weren't able to fund the schools. In fact, he went over to Wellesley to teach. So this reminds me, I think was it the movie, The Bad News Bears, that didn't have a coach or something like that? They literally had to go out and coach themselves and make themselves into a real strong team. They made themselves so strong that this is the first time in Franklin High School Theater Company group that they've actually made it to the finals.
Nice.
Yes, this is a tremendous undertaking. My wife and I, my daughter's in the place. She got an award for being a props master. Congratulations to her. But this was such a concerted effort between these group of kids. And my wife and I and my daughters, my son, all went to see the play called Yellow Boat. I don't know if anybody had the opportunity to see it, but since they've won and they're heading to Boston next week, they will be there on the 27th, 28th, and 29th. Franklin High School will be at, I believe, 2 o'clock on Friday. Thank you, Lucas. He's got his fingers back there. And if everyone gets an opportunity to go to the show or even have an opportunity to see the video after the show, all I can say is, wow, it was a wonderfully disturbing show. And I say that with 2 words because it was a very, very heartfelt show about a very disturbing incident with a child who ended up getting AIDS. And it's called Yellow Boat. And it was an amazing presentation. And it's no wonder they went to the finals. And I look forward to, I'm going next Friday. I'm getting tickets. I'm going to be there. You coming, Ted?
I'm going to certainly try.
All right. With that being said, an obvious congratulations to the Franklin boys basketball team. That's amazing. That means so many good things that have been going on, and of course to the girls cheerleading team for their tremendous wins as well. Two more quick things, Mr. Chairman. Number one, Chuck, happy anniversary again. I know I said it the other day, but I didn't want to leave you out. I saw in the audience. I go, I have to say happy anniversary to Chuck. How many years is that, Chuck?
11.
Congratulations. Yeah. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, I didn't get an opportunity to go to it because I've been so busy, is that the producers are at the Black Box, correct? Are they still going to be there for a length of time?
3 more shows this weekend.
3 more shows. 3 more shows at the Black Box. So again, take advantage of all the wonderful theater and cultural and arts that this community has to have. It's just amazing to me. And with that, Mr. Jones, since it was Mr. Jones, Mr. Mercer, since we talked about the Black Box, I figured that was a great segue to you. Producer.
Thank you, Councilor Jones. Okay, obviously, my condolences and thoughts and prayers to the DeLorco family and the Demirs family, and as well the Giorgio family who worked in our facilities department for many years. So our thoughts and prayers go out to those families on their loss. Boys basketball team, Division I state champions. I don't know if everybody truly understands what an accomplishment that is when Division I state champion. There's no more Catholic division, so those private schools are in the other divisions. So you're going against schools that, excuse me, can recruit, so to speak. It's just a wonderful accomplishment, and congratulations. And we will bring them to the council, but obviously, school committee needs to do their thing first, and then we'll follow up. As well, the Franklin High School competition cheerleader, national champions, we will bring them in as well, following the school committee. And the theater group, big finalists, everybody said it all. So congratulations. A lot of good things going on in the community, in our schools. But my last comment will be, the work begins. We need to get out to the public, get out to the residents, and we can't do it alone. It's up to you. I know there are groups out there We can certainly come to meetings, get-togethers. We'll be happy to come and speak and talk about the override. But again, to keep our community where it is, not move forward, but keep it where it is, we need to pass this override. So with that, I will entertain a
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Non-debatable. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?